Stabilization in the short term for the currency, but the fundamental levels, you say they remain the same. What do you mean by that?
Well, for me, I think this is just an artificial way of stabilizing the market, right? I mean, you put in place another unpredictable variable in the fixing without any clarity whatsoever, calling it the counter-cyclical factor.
Right.
Now, what does that mean? Nobody really knows, and you would really need to understand that fully. Meanwhile, what that does is that when you put in an unpredictable variable into the market, speculators do not like that. Well, in fact, the market do not like that in general. And what does it mean? People would stay away from the market for a little bit, and as a result, you probably get some stability in the currency.
Okay, some stability. How long is that going to last, though?
Yeah, I guess that's a big question, right? I mean,
right.
At the end of the day, currencies do move on fundamentals, and if you do such acrobatics just to maintain stability, then it doesn't mean that the fundamentals have changed. And when the fundamentals continue to change in the direction that the market expects, which is really arguing for the weakness in the currency, then I think the risk is that you get stability, and then all of a sudden it shifts towards the perceived fair value, and that is probably the bigger risk. You make changes to the fixing mechanism to instill short-term stability, but you might get longer-term volatility in sharp one-off moves every now and then.
Nizam, hold on a second. You mentioned about stability. I got to break some numbers to China manufacturing PMI. Steady as she goes. The actual numbers coming in at 51.2. That is the same level that we saw in the previous month of April. So a slight marginal beat there from what the economists were expecting for the month of May. We were expecting things to kind of peak, get farther away from the peak, but it seems like we're seeing still a little bit of stability. We'll get the latest there in Bloomberg markets a little bit later on. But Nizam, sticking on to fair value for the yuan, what in your mind is fair value? Is it going to change, or what's going to look like in 6 to 9 months?
Right. In so far as fair value is concerned, it's always a tricky exercise. For me, I think the best way to do this is really to look at the fundamentals and the flows. So in the case of China, what we have seen in the first quarter of this year was a very strong GDP, 6.9%, aided by massive increase in credit numbers. I think those have to change. In other words, I believe that over the next few months, and we have actually seen some of this in place already, tightening in the monetary conditions, allowing some deleveraging to happen in a controlled manner, such that growth will slow down. And so for me, I think GDP coming off to 6.5% or even lower by the end of this year is likely. And if you put that into perspective for the currency, then I think fair value should be closer to 7. Now, we have seen a little bit of fall in the currency, dollar CNY, but I think it could still gradually rise from here.